And hey guys, welcome back to BizWestMichigan. I'm really excited today. We've got Mike Yoder from LinkedUp Grand Rapids. He is the founder of LinkedUp Grand Rapids, and we're going to talk about social media, specifically LinkedIn and some other stuff. We're going to learn a bit about Michael's business and what he does with LinkedIn. A little bit of information about Michael. He is a graduate of Geneva College in Pennsylvania, which has the unique notoriety of being in the hometown of Joe Namath. So we're going to learn a little bit more about what Michael's doing, but he does live here with his wife and 3 children. He lives on the northwest side, and he's very active in a variety of things, and he's also a full-time social media consultant. So without further ado, Michael, welcome to BizWestMichigan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So obviously I'm a member of LinkedUp Grand Rapids and have been for I think about a year and a half now. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what LinkedUp Grand Rapids is, how it's being used, and a little bit about you.
Sure. LinkedUp Grand Rapids, it's really pretty simple. It's about building trusted business relationships. And our primary tool in helping do that is LinkedIn. So we take advantage of the networking opportunities and power that LinkedIn has with 150 million plus registered users, adding 2 new registered users every second. So we kind of use that as our main connecting point. But from the very beginning, 4 years ago, I always felt it was important to create a space and time for people to connect in person. So feel like LinkedIn and other social media channels are a great place to connect, to find people, to do some research, check how you're connected and those sorts of things. But then it's always important to take that next step and to reach out to people and find ways to connect in person, because we do business with people that we like, that we trust, and that's all about relationship, right?
Right.
So find that social media provides this great place to start, but then the next step is providing the space and time to meet in person. And then the other part of social media is it has great advantages for staying in touch with your professional connections. So that's kind of what LinkedUp Grand Rapids is all about, is just basically building trusted business relationships that help grow our businesses here in West Michigan, which results in a better place to live and work and raise our families.
Right. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we're my video keeps freezing here again, as people know with BizWestMichigan. The technology that we're using is not a perfect science. So you look fabulous, Michael, but it looks like I'm kind of frozen. So I'm not a ventriloquist. There we go. So, I know we're getting close to 10,000 members. I think we're a couple hundred away. Is that what you said?
Yeah, we're just a little over 300 shy of 10,000. Yep.
That is huge. So that makes us, I think you said, the largest non-alumni social networking group in the state. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. We're close behind. There's 2 U of M alumni groups and 2 MSU groups, and then I think 1 Central Michigan group that we're just a few hundred members behind. But otherwise, as far as business networking groups, connecting groups, LinkedUp Grand Rapids is by far the largest based here in Michigan.
Cool. Well, I've gotten a lot out of it. I've actually, obviously, I've been, I'm posting the press releases and the announcements for BizWestMichigan on there. And thanks for letting us do that. I think that there's so much going on, and one of the reasons I'm excited to have you on the site and for this interview, I had John Vanderhagen a couple weeks ago, who's the social media manager for the Griffins. Social media is just becoming such a critical and core component for really everything that businesses do now. So, if you could tell me a little bit about, how you've grown your networking group, and maybe specifically if you can give a couple, maybe a little tips on how people can get the most from LinkedUp Grand Rapids and other social media groups, and maybe a couple of tips of what not to do and a couple of
Sure,
other groups as well.
sure. Well, let me start with what not to do because that's real easy. Social media in general is about relationships and people and conversation and sharing information and ideas and collaborating. So it's not a space for the push of advertising and marketing. It's more of a pull space. Right. Where you're providing good information that makes people want to connect with you. I always talk about the 4 B's of being interesting, being relevant, being helpful, and being yourself. When you do that in social media, it makes people want to connect with you and stay connected with you, whether it's on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever it is. So it's a pull space rather than a push space. And there's nothing wrong with marketing and advertising, and social media is not exclusive of that. It works real well together, but right. You can't use one like it's the other. So the one thing is please don't post your promotional materials or your promo messages or sales pitches in LinkedUp Grand Rapids or other groups unless they specifically say they want that. And that kind of leads into some of the things that I think have helped LinkedUp Grand Rapids grow, is that I've worked really hard at trying to keep the discussion section focused on discussions, questions, inquiries, people that are really trying to, that maybe it's something as simple as, hey, I need a new dentist. Can you give me recommendations from people you know or a dentist or practice that you've used that's done a good job for you? All the way to discussions on, what is online influence and how important is it and what are the key components of it, and having discussions around those kinds of things. Or about our community and ways to get involved in our community, to give back to our community. So I've really tried hard to manage that part of LinkedUp Grand Rapids, to provide value there. So I think that's been a part of it. And I think by trying to respond to everyone who joins the group with some sort of acknowledgement and message, with this is how the group works and how can I help you connect to group members and things like that. So
have you seen, as far as the membership goes, are you seeing more professional members that they're looking for professional connection, or are you seeing more kind of general members that are really looking for kind of general community type stuff? I mean, because LinkedIn is more business, obviously. Facebook would be more on the local side, as far as that kind of connection. Are you seeing both? I mean, are you seeing kind of a hybrid thing going on in the group?
Well, I see more, connecting for business purposes, because LinkedIn is the dominant player as far as social media channels when it comes to that B2B space. And so I find a pretty good mix of people who are looking to make a career change or looking for that new opportunity as far as employment. But then there's also, we have directors, vice presidents, business owners. We have a pretty broad mix of people that are involved in the group and are connecting for a variety of reasons. But I don't see a lot of just general connecting like you might see on Facebook and that sort of thing.
Now, one of the things that a friend of mine told me, who's kind of an online guy, kind of I hate to use the term guru because that always sounds kind of silly, but he really did a nice job as far as explaining that LinkedIn is think of it as a networking event at a chamber of commerce. And if you go in there and you do a hard sell or you do a hard pitch in any of the groups that you belong to or on your wall, you're going to be tuned out. People are just going to say, you know what, stay away from me. And Facebook can be maybe considered a bit more like a cocktail party. But again, you're going to be in the same boat. People are, on LinkedIn, they're probably a little bit more open to the commercial side. They're more interested in talking about business and learning about what you do to see if there is an opportunity for connection. I think that people are just so afraid of the proverbial salesman that's going to attack them and come in and try and sell them everything under the sun. That I think that's part of the reason that social media has taken off, and why groups like LinkedUp Grand Rapids have done as well as they have. So,
well, I think it's important to remember, what I said initially about understanding that social media is about people, about relationships, about conversation. And so when in interpersonal communications in real life, we don't enter a new conversation or a conversation that's already going on by jumping in and saying, buy my stuff.
Right.
We enter by listening, right? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So, maybe we want to use our ears and listen at least twice as much, probably more than that, to understand the context of the conversation. Because you don't, even when you go to a networking event or a cocktail party or even a business meeting or whatever, you don't just walk in and start pushing out this message about your agenda and that sort of thing. You listen to the conversation, and then you join the conversation, hopefully with context, that's relevant to the conversation. So I think that's really important, to listen and understand what's going on in whatever channel you're in, before just jumping in and trying to blast out your message and stuff like that. You will get tuned out. I mean, people will block you, unfollow, unfriend, disconnect, whatever, because that's the expectations are different in social media.
Yep. So just so everybody's aware, I am having pretty good video issues here today. So, like I said, I'm not a ventriloquist. I'm on a tertiary laptop at this point because I've been having some software issues. So the good news is I'm going to be able to write a really good review for multiple software packages on how to record this stuff. So that's the good news from this. So I'll certainly share that. Well, Michael, I know that when you and I were talking before, you said that you came up here from Clearwater, Florida. How did you end up here?
Same way everybody ends up in Grand Rapids. I married a Dutch girl, So here I am, and we'll celebrate our 28th anniversary this July. So.
Wow! Congratulations. That's awesome.
I think it was a good move.
So now there's been a lot of changes. Was there like any kind of a defining moment as far as when something happened, and membership in the group for LinkedUp Grand Rapids? Did it just like accelerate at one point? Did you get to a tipping point or anything like that?
Well, I think one thing about it, it's been almost 100% organic growth. So there was no big advertising campaign or any use of automated tools or anything like that. It's been through word of mouth and just slow, steady growth. Now, I think we did reach a point where it kind of took on a life of its own in terms of I now see probably at least a dozen requests a day to join the group.
Wow.
And I'm not doing any advertising or marketing, so to speak, to try to get more and more people to join the group. It's because of what we're doing in social media. It's what we're doing in the community when we do drives where we give back to, say, Kids Food Basket or to the Grand Rapids Home for Veterans or something like that. It's just been through good, solid, steady, slow, organic growth.
Good.
And I think paying attention to the details. And I think, again, the in-person events, making that an integral part of what we do online. And it's right place, right time, too. I'm not going to take all the credit for it. I feel very fortunate. We started the group when LinkedIn enhanced the whole group section quite a bit, and groups took off. And I think it was just part of it was being fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, and people connected with it, and it's really grown from there. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been a member of it for I think about a year. I've gotten a lot out of it. I've met several people, and I know that I get the little announcement when somebody I know that joins the group, and I've actually recommended it to several people. Now, you've made a pretty major career move from the standpoint of social media is pretty much your your life now. I mean, you're a consultant for it, and you're doing some other stuff. Are you seeing that accelerate as well? I mean, you're getting a lot of interest from larger, companies of all sizes. Do you see it mostly on large companies, mid companies, small companies?
Yeah, I'm seeing it personally across the board, and what I see happening is we've gone from innovators to early adopters to where we're in this part of the bell curve of mass adoption. So I think we're kind of beyond the discussion of, well, is this social media thing going to be, stick around? Is it going to stay? And so I think people, and particularly companies and businesses, have come to grips with the fact that this is a fundamental change in the way people are communicating and sharing information.
Right.
So we've gotten through that to the part where we're in that mass adoption phase. And as part of that, I think there's a huge need, which we saw in our survey data, for more money and more education, more understanding, better understanding of the tools and the how-to and the channels and how to use them, and those kinds of things. So for someone like me, who's a full-time consultant in the field of social media and other related areas, there's tremendous need for that, and that's why I do workshops on LinkedIn and other social media channels, and where I work primarily in social media is on that strategy piece with companies, and the kind of the integration with the other things that you do at your company, tying it to the business plan and goals and objectives and all the different areas of the company and how you're doing business and how it all fits in, and who the audience is and where they are in social media. Those are really, really important things and questions that need to be answered if you're going to be successful as a company in social media.
Well, I would definitely agree, and I know that that's one of the things that and the challenge with it is, and again, with my with the business planning stuff that I've done, and with the lead generation consulting that I do, and the stuff that I do with Superior Business Solutions, with print management and marketing technology, the biggest challenge is that most companies, regardless of size, whether it's the the solopreneur consultant, really all the way up to the Fortune 100. I mean, these guys. You've got companies that are still thinking that social media is its own little island. It's just it's just over there. It's kind of this cute little thing, and it's like, you better pay attention, because there's a lot going on, and it is kind of the wild, wild west. I mean, I just shot a video explaining that about what's going on with Facebook, and it is changing rapidly. And I love the Forrester hype cycle. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not, but they did this really cool analysis where there's this giant climb as far as people trying new technology. They get the hype of expected outcomes, and then they crash down when they realize that sometimes it doesn't do everything they want it to do, and it goes into what they call the trough of disillusionment, and and then it comes back up, and then you get people that actually start to use it, start to take advantage of it. They start to get profitable at it. And the people that stick with it, kind of through that whole thing. I mean, the difference, the peak here to where it is, as far as the realistic expectations, it's not as high, but that's any curve really, as far as any product or whatever. So social media is that way. Facebook is adopting and changing. Twitter is adopting and changing. Google is adopting and changing. In my opinion, LinkedIn, and maybe it's because I'm a B2B guy, but I think LinkedIn has really done it right, in that they've done the changes, they've made some really good changes, but they haven't been radical. I mean, if you look at the changes that Facebook are making, going to timeline, and it's that's a deadline. I mean, it's the personal profiles, I think, happened Monday. And I know that
What was
businesses,
that deadline? Yeah,
for
I know
the-
the deadline for businesses is the 30th. Yeah.
right? I mean, so come Friday, if you liked your old site, you better kiss it goodbye, because
Take
they,
a picture, right?
well, take a picture. I mean, there's ways that you can make it so that on your computer it goes back, and that's one of the challenges. So, I've been scrambling over the past week to try and find something that would show people how to do it. I mean, it's a lot of people. There's a lot of brands that I've communicated with that didn't know that their Facebook fan page, if you will, their pages are changing. They're like, what? What are you talking about?
Uh-oh.
So, I mean, and so I found this really cool product. I've tried to keep it as cheap as possible for me to buy the rights to it and everything. But, it's the wild, wild west. I mean, changes are happening. So, we've been we're almost at 20 minutes, Michael. So I want to make sure that we cover a couple of things here. We talked about kind of what you grew over the past 4 years. Maybe what's been your biggest mistake, or if you could go back and change one thing on how you've done something, or something like that, what would you change, or what would you do differently?
Well, I learned a real good lesson a couple of years ago, and it's about LinkedIn, and maybe even more specifically about LinkedUp Grand Rapids is. And I'm a big fan of Forrester Research, by the way, and but on their technographics profile, the ladder where they talk about how different people use social media in different ways, I've found that over the years, a lot of people on LinkedIn are more consumers and collectors of information, as opposed to channels like Twitter and Facebook, where you see a lot more back and forth and conversation. I found that a lot of the business people that are registering for LinkedIn, they like the information, they're reading the information, but they don't necessarily comment back.
Right.
They're not initiating discussions, but they are out there and they are, quote, listening or reading, consuming the information. And so I learned that kind of the hard way. I mean, we did this one initiative, and I assumed that people were just ignoring it, and found out that they weren't. But that was good. Then I got some reactions and some discussion, and we learned. For me, it was a valuable lesson, and in understanding my group, because I feel a bit at a disadvantage with LinkedIn because they do not provide analytics or insights for group owners. And so with a group of 10,000 members, nearly 10,000 members, that's kind of important stuff for me. So that's part of why we have kind of a sister site, which is our website at linkedupgr.com, where I can have the Google Analytics and the information on how people are interacting with the group, so that I can be smarter about the kinds of content and the kinds of events and the kinds of discussions and all those kinds of things that are based on what the analytics are telling me are most important to group members. So it's the same as the LinkedIn group, the website. It's free to join there as well.
Okay.
You can set up your own page, but in addition to discussions, promotions, and jobs, you have things like pictures, video, live chat, blog, event calendar, all these added features that we don't get with the LinkedIn group.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely have the link underneath the interview down here for that, and we'll also have a link going into to the group as well. Now, one of the things that you and I had chatted about before was, a lot of people are trying to figure out, how can a guy like you that's got the background that you do and the history that you do, how can you kind of make money or make a living from social media? And one of the ways that you're able to do that, and one of the things that I just found out about, was the platinum membership. So
right.
It looks like I'm frozen again.
Yeah, we just launched the platinum membership for LinkedUp Grand Rapids in February. It's an annual membership at $89, but with that you get things like a LinkedIn profile or company page audit, where I provide written feedback on how to get more out of your profile. same things you can do to enhance it and that sort of thing. You get I do public workshops. Those are typically like $69. That's
Okay.
included. One of those is included. So I'm doing an advanced LinkedIn workshop on April 27. So if you're a platinum member, you can attend that for free.
Okay.
We do a lot of other benefits there. Free attendance at one of our 525 condensed, focused networking events. Advance notice on our events and registration links and things like that. And some exclusive content that we'll be publishing. All the platinum members get the PDF of the survey data that we just did on social media use by West Michigan companies, all those kinds of things. So a lot of added benefits in addition to what you normally get, and it's for people that really just are really want to get more out of their networking and their involvement with LinkedUp Grand Rapids.
Okay. So, well, terrific. Well, we've got a lot going on, obviously, with LinkedUp Grand Rapids and LinkedUpGR.com. Is that what it is, right?
That's it, yeah.
And then, obviously, with your consulting stuff. So we'll have all the links below. Again, I think you're providing a phenomenal service with the site, obviously with the group. For some reason, my video keeps freezing. This is going to drive me crazy. So, I think it's a great thing. I look forward to again continuing to participate in the group, and really appreciate taking the time to participate in BizWest Michigan.
Hey, thank you. It was a real pleasure, and I'm always happy to talk about LinkedUp Grand Rapids. And we've got thousands, literally, of great members who represent small to medium-sized to very large companies. And it's just tremendous networking opportunities to help each other grow our businesses here in West Michigan. So,
well, cool. Well, great. Well, if we can do anything else for you, let us know, and we'll just kind of go from there, because it looks like my video froze yet again. So,
okay.
Michael, thanks a ton, and I'll send you a link out so you can, if you want to post the interview on LinkedUp Grand Rapids, we can certainly do that, and we appreciate taking the time.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Bye.